my drum down for a second. Oops, sorry. Well, we drove all the way up the mountain, and we're actually too far up on this side. The scars keeps going around. So we came from way here. I'm gonna go. Let's see how many times. That's 6 times. You see the shadow of the mountain and the tree line that's over across that valley? That's where we came from, way over there. And then I used the doll to try and point out that we drove all the way across down there. And you know, the cool thing is, I'm gonna take a little aside, the land speaking again to us. So do you see those little wisps? It's like clouds that are coming off of that's because there's a river over there. And it's so cool because, oh no, that's the dust of a car. You know how can I know? Because the beginning of it's way over here. But anyway, so pretend that's us driving up here. That dust of that car kind of just shows the route we just came. That is just so cool. So, right on, Creator loves us all, you guys. Storytelling time, because honestly, you see the dust of that car? You see the dust? Okay, I'm gonna zoom right in there. That's 6 times in zooming. All right, and then he's gone behind the trees there, so I'm gonna back up, and you can see his dust trail. See it? And that dust trail goes all the way across the valley there. I thought it was the like steam from the river, but the river's really frozen. But sometimes you see the steam from the river. So that dust kind of reflects where we just drove up to the top of this mountain. Well, no, not even the top of this mountain. We're 3/4 of the way up the mountain. And so that dust trail is where we were driving just now. And where'd Buddy go? Anyway, he stopped driving, but it's just perfect. Perfect. Because we drove up, we came along there, along that river was what we were driving actually. And then we came around the mountain on the other side of the mountain there, and that's when you, at the end of the fast forward part, the time lapse, you see Ivan and the doll pointing over the mountain, because this is the scar that we showed you from down in the valley. And we came up all the way around, and it kind of switchbacks a few times. So we're down there where we came up from. You'll have to look up the word switchbacks, kids. So the switchback part is when you're going straight, like straight this way, but then you got curve, come back up this way, because then the mountain's there, right? So then the next switchback for this thing is right here. Or no, it's not, it's up going around that way. Hard to explain a switchback when we're in the middle of the length. You can't see either bottom. But anyway, so we'll do, I'm going to do another song, and I'm going to pass this over to my cameraman. And I'm going to I'm going to sing another song. And I have these willows here that I picked from the tree down there, and I'm going to do the willow teaching song, because willow teaching, because that's about all I can do for the stories there. And I'm going to speak a little bit about the drum. So the story I'm going to tell is the drum, because I was so blessed in my lifetime to have a family that taught me how to hunt and to fish and to gather. My dad was Walter George Cochran from Peguis First Nation, and I got to live in Ottawa when my daughter was born. She was born in 1994. Niska Bingolkwe, young red willow woman, which is why I'm going to do the little story that I know for that one. But the song that I want to sing is a turtle song, and it's because it's the first song I ever sang to my husband, cameraman. And I can tell you the story of the drum with the turtle song, because my daughter, when she was 2.5, in 1996, I had the great blessing of making my very first drum, and it was with Pinnock. He's the grandson of William Commanda, and grandfather of William Commanda, and Pinnock taught us how to make a drum. My daughter and I, we spent a week on Victoria Island, and he had hide soaking in the river. He had an elm tree on the ground when we got there on Monday, and we did all the work to making that drum, making that round. You see, this is a faceted drum, which is kind of really fascinating for me, because my drum that I drum with now is faceted like that. But a drum is supposed to be made from a single round, and because that's that teaching of the drum. And When Pinnock taught me, he taught me that you're supposed to, this is an 8-sided drum, so they put 8 connections on it. But when we're making that round on your drum, that represents, you know, the wholeness of life, and it's the same, almost the same as the TP teachings, a circle and the round. And there's 13 contact points. Those TPs, well, there's supposed to be 13 contact points on the back of your drum, and that represents those 13 moons. And so I'm going to sing I'm going to sing that turtle song now. And my husband will take the turtle away. I'm going to do the same thing I did last time. I'm going to face the different directions. And you guys enjoy the scenery when I sing the song. And and then I'll tell you about the 13 moons on the turtle's back and those 13 teachings. Okay. So most people are probably expecting me to say miigwech when I do the 4 directions, eh? And I'm going to tell you that story first, because remember I showed you my bag and it showed the inherent rates and all that AMC stuff? Well, that's where I learned a lot of my teachings, is on the, I wish I could say powwow trail, but it was the protest trail. First protest I went to, I was 14. I was in front of Indian Affairs building on the corner of Smith and Portage. I'm not kidding you. Indian Affairs building used to be on the corner of Smith and Portage, you guys, not Hargrave. And so that's where I learned to use my voice and speak up to those around us, because that story is a better story than what kind of right now. The Portage and Smith Street used to be Service Canada building, and all the Indian affairs and all kinds of different government facilities was inside that building. But you drive by there today and you see AMC there. All my cousins. And I just love the fact that the Assembly Manitoba Chiefs is in that building today, and Eagle Transition Center is in that building today. So that's my story that I'm sharing. You know, that turtle song got me and gave me a better story. I'll still tell you about those 13 moons though. And 1984, 10 years before my daughter was born, was my first protest. And well, probably went to a few others that I didn't even know what I did, but that was the first one I was awoke. I was 14 years old, and Government Canada, in its great wisdom, decided that the Indians need to learn French in this bilingual country. So Peguis, in its wisdom, went, wait a second, did you guys not just cut the funding for our cultural teachers to teach us our own language first? Because that's what happened in the early 80s. You know, Canada became a bilingual country, and us Indigenous people better shape up and learn another language, not just the English one. And so it was just really sad that, you know, they took like something like $100,000 worth of funding from our school. And so it was in May that we went protested about this. And it was only supposed to be like one day protest. And you know, and I was all for it. We bussed all down there to Portage and Smith and danced around and complained, you know, don't do this, let us learn our own languages first. I don't know what kind of prayers were said. I was 14. I was just like all happy because they gave us $50 to come to the city and dance in a circle on the street. And we all got per diem to go. And this thing kept going on though. It wasn't just that one day, and our school was shut down. We didn't have teachers, and buses were stopped because they were in Winnipeg, and everybody was in Winnipeg staying in hotels and getting per diem to protest, and it didn't make sense to this 14-year-old at the time. So I kind of wrote a letter and got on CJOB and stuff, and my dad helped me to put together my thoughts because it was hurting us students that they were shutting down our school, and you know, I didn't understand the sense in it all. Why are we hurting ourselves to make a point? And you adults need to get your act together. I was thinking, I was 14. It was horrible, and I got booed out of our community hall. I got all kinds of horrible things that happened. Oh, but for the love of my family and my dad and my Cree mama, you know, they took me out of that hall and they still loved me no matter what. And yeah, so I don't know whatever happened with our cultural funding because I left. I took off out of Peguis shortly after that and went to Ottawa. And that was the coolest thing because 10 years later, I got to learn how to make a drum. And I got to learn all these wonderful teachings. 1994, my daughter came to me, Miss Gabingo Kwe, young Red Willow woman. She taught me a lot. She said, "It's like you love you." They have so much to teach. And they're like all over the place, and I couldn't see them earlier, and we walked down there to go and pick these, and I put them in the snow for this teaching. But there's a big pile of them right there, that bush there. You want to point at that bush? And the reason I know those are red willow, it's in the dark, but it's really red. You can see the redness. But the reality in the teaching of this tree, it's like, you know, fractal theory. For those who want to look up some neat words, fractal theory is expressed in these trees so well. But the balance of life is expressed in these trees. And it's just so beautiful and marvelous and wonderful to have brought life into this world, my daughter, and to have learned these teachings along the way, because I didn't know these teachings when she was born, but she was given Niska Bingo Kwe as her name at her welcoming ceremony day after she was born. And it means young Red Willow woman. And Red Willow is the leader of all the medicines. And it's like, wow, powerful name, my girl. So she'll figure out her path. But oh my gosh, that girl taught me everything I need to know and why I'm here today. And making of these drums. So when I'll go back to this making of the drums, and I'll come back to the willow story, because 13 moons that Pinuk taught me. My dad had teepees, and my dad didn't even know why those 13 poles went around the teepee. And you know, and I got to learn the reason for that after he passed away, and I got to share so many times those teachings. So when you look at that turtle, and I wish I had one with me, but I don't. If you look at your turtle, and the turtle on his back, he's our clock. He's our Anishinaabe clock, that turtle, because that turtle's back is divided into 1, 2, 3, 4, straight down, 4, and 5. Sorry, center is the inside of yourself. Those 4 directions are in that inside yourself is there, right? And then the 4 directions are on this side, and the 4 directions on that side. So that turtle. So then when you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10, 11, 12, 13. There's 13 sections on the back of a turtle. And then you go all the way around the edge of the turtle. He's got 28 little sections. All the way around the back of a turtle. So you go look at turtles and you'll see that. And that was our clock. You know, that was this creation story that I shared yesterday. Is Turtle Island, when Turtle Island was made. And Turtle got weighed right down by all that new earth, and Turtle splashed around in the waters, and the lightning and everything was splashing, and Turtle went up and became the moon. They're teaching the moon. And the grandfather's son from all the lightning. And so when you look at the today actually is too, it's the lunar New Year for the Asian people. So that's just amazing. So today is Lunar New Year, and here I am teaching the Lunar New Year of my Anishinaabe teachings, because every 12 months there's 13 full moons. You go and look at any calendar and pick it up from 100 years ago, and if they have the moons on there and the moon cycles on there, you count, there'll be 13 full moons in every calendar year. And every 28 days, that grandmother goes all the way around, and she waxes and wanes. Gets full. It takes her 28 days for her bright shining face, but every day grandfather sees her, and except for that new moon time right now. And so that's the teaching that I know of why there's 13 connection points behind my drum and 13 connection points around there. And I wanted to do that teaching in Morishanakapo because those 4 directions, I was told, you know, our people were driven from the lands, and put on Indian reserves, and they gave us rations on Indian reserves, all white food too, sugar, salt, lard, flour, all white. And it's not good for our people, but that's what they rationed us. And treaty commissioners would come and give us our rations. And then the treaty commissioner would be done, and there's none left, or he doesn't want to share anymore, and he would look at the people and go, "Megwa, enough, go away. Megwa." That's what I was told. So miigwech. We put in miigwech because we thought that treaty commissioner was giving a thank you for the food he was offering us. That's the story I was told. So then I started asking people, you know, yeah, because miigwech isn't really part of our language. I remember in language class being told this, like, I've never learned my language, but I've gone to classes to learn about it, and they pull it apart in mainstream and tell you all the different parts of your language and the history of your language, but then you never learn to speak it. And but miigwech wasn't really part of our language, I was told. And I'm going, oh, well then Nurse told me that story. I'm going, oh, okay. So then I went and asked one of my Cree speakers. I go, say, where did that come from? She goes, I don't know, it's not really part of our language. She said that. So I asked another Cree speaker, same thing. They don't know where it came from, it's just what it is. I bet now Koa, same thing. I don't know, I haven't talked to the Mohawks lately. Wailalan, that's a greeting of thanks in Mi'kmaq territory. I don't know. But Mashicho, same thing. Out here in the west coast, they say Mashicho as a thank you, and it's a Cree greeting as well too, of thank you. But in our languages across Turtle Island, I was told there was no real word for thank you. Go figure that, eh? There was no real word for thank you because we were gracious and thankful all the time. It was just built into everything we did, just like the story of the eagle, you know, creator gathered about all the people, and, you know, those animals took care of those pitiable people and gave them their gifts and taught them how to love and respect life. And that word, thank you, is an English word, and miigwech is what we say. Anishinaabe, Nawakoa, in my Mohawk languages, and Iroquois. But that's the story I heard. Now let's go back to the story of life, because that's what these willows teach us. And that's the graciousness and the wonderfulness of all of our people, is the beauty of being able to reach into our pouches and offer a little bit of tobacco when we find things. And the tobacco's been offered already, but I'm just doing it again. And I want to thank you so much for giving me your life so I can offer these teachings to other people. You know, and back in the day, you know, corporal punishment did not exist in the Turtle Island. If you hit a child, that was the worst crime ever. It was worse, you know, like murdering somebody was really bad. But hurting a child or a woman or a life giver was really bad. We never struck our children. Yet you hear that story of the willow. Go get a willow! Didn't teach you a lesson. That was true. We're going to teach you a lesson and give you the willow, but here's how we used to do it in our old ways. Before contact, you know, the child would misbehave and act up, or somebody would misbehave and act up, and they'd be taken to the elders. The elders would give the story and tell the person, you know, go get me a willow. I got to teach you this teaching. You need to learn something. And so the person would go with their tobacco and go, okay, I got to go take a life. Miigwech, Koa. Well, Alan, I go say, yeah, mesito. And you pull this willow. And this is a fresh baby one. There's like nothing on it yet. It's just starting its buds. But we know it's red willow because it's red all the way down. We know it's red willow because of the duality that's offered in every branch that comes from every second. You know, they're like a person, 2 arms out in the stem. And the red willow, you know, when you peel it, this red part is knick-knick, but when you peel it, it's you're supposed to peel off the red part. And I don't know what you use the red part for, but you probably use it for something. And then underneath the red part is the is green, eh? You see the green part underneath the red. So you'd peel off all that red part. You see, I peeled it off completely, the green, but that's not what you want to do when you're peeling for knick-knick. You just take off all this red stuff. You've offered songs when you want it for knick-knick, and you give thanks for it. But anyway, so just trying to show you. It's a lot of work, eh? I'm using my finger now. So then all that green stuff is exposed after you take off the red stuff. And then the knick-knick's made. This is the traditional tobacco. They would scrape all the way down, and you see it curls up a little bit. I'm just using my finger now, but it curls up, and all these little curls, you just keep scraping. You'd use a knife, of course, and you make beautiful curls. And then that's the knick-knick. That's the traditional tobacco that was used. That was what Eagle probably gathered up, but not necessarily, because the Iroquois people carry tobacco seed, real tobacco seed, and they're the ones that's why that teaching comes from the east. And so the red willow, we used it, and there are so many teachings. You can hear it is so flexible. It is unbelievably flexible. And the thing is that we used to make our traditional dream catchers out of them. You see, this one's a little bit old and broken up at the top. And so that's what those, you'd make a dream catcher like that. And you would turn this into rope by bending it just ever so gently. It's frozen out here, so I can't do it here because I can hear it cracking because it's frozen. But you would use that like a piece of string, like a rope, and it would bend all the way around, and you can tie a knot, and then the dream catcher would be made inside that teardrop for the baby. And that eagle teaching would be inside there for that baby too, because the first dream catcher the baby has would be the red willow, little hoop like that, and there would be the line would start up here to make it, so there'd be one connection, one of his wings, one of his feet, his other foot, his other wing, and his head. So 5-point star is the first dream catcher a baby would have out of the red willow. And so the teaching, we'll look at this tree now. The teaching of the red willow, like I said, that duality, you see that single span, and then it breaks off into 2 And then something happened to this tree because then that got broken, you see. And so what happens is these other 2 branches immediately branch out. You see. And all the way through, it'll keep doing that. And so that's why when I'm looking over there at the big pile of the willow, and I can see the willow, because every other branch, like they're symmetrical is what that's called, when it's exactly the same side by side. And then you look at other branches, like they look at those branches there, Ivan, and you can see that the branches are not symmetrical. They're alternating, you know. So it's so easy to tell that red willow. And the teaching is the flexibility. You know, these willows, when I break off one of these like that, and if the ground was soft, you pick willow in the spring, because then anything you don't use, you shove back in the ground like that, and this tree will grow another red willow. You can do that to all those branches on these trees. Break it off and stick it in the soft ground, and it'll grow another willow. And I don't know if this is true or not, but you know, our lodges, they could easily have done that. Put them in a circle or put them in a frame of some kind and come back in the 2 seasons, and you got your branches right in the place you need, and you just tie them over. But that's the tree of life in my estimation. The teaching of duality that comes out of it, you know, both sides of you. And it keeps going and keeps replicating. And then the teaching of life that comes off of that, I'm going to bring it up now. The teaching of life, we all start singularity, and that's where those baby dream catchers, you know, that one beautiful branch has nothing on it yet, eh? But as you grow older, and just like going into ceremony or going to circles and stuff, you know, we grow when we go to those places, and we learn a little bit more. And then, you know, when we're there at that place where we're learning, we meet other people, and then they learn from us, and then they go and they grow and they make more. And so your tree of life can be huge because of all the different people that you've had an impact on. Because think of each one of these branches, each one of these buds as your connection to those people when you learn, when you live life. It's connection's the correction, because you'll always be connected to those people when you're healing and learning. And those leaves fall, and let go of those that don't serve you anymore. Sometimes, you know, just like this tree, something didn't work, it got cut off. So sometimes you have to do that in life too. You got to let go of those things that don't work anymore, that don't serve you anymore. These broken parts or the dead parts, and let them go, because there'll always be new growth. But it can't come until you let go of the broken parts. There's so many other teachings that come with willows, but that's the little bit that I do know. And how much time is on that video right now?
28.
28? Oh, wow. I got way over time, I think. I might have, I don't know. So the fast forward video that you guys watched, you can watch it one more time. And this time when you're watching it though, because you watch it really fast just to see us come up here, pay attention to the story this time when you're watching that video. I'm going to try slow it down and stuff, but I don't know how to do those things. But if the technical guys know how to slow it down, they can do that. And watch how many times you'll see people, but they're going to be really fast, you know. So see how many people you see. See how many cars you see. There's even bicycles, and there was a horse. What else did we drive by? Gas station we drove by. We crossed railroad tracks. We crossed the river. Well, the channel. It's not really, the Ko'ona River's over that side. What else did we pass? Oh, and a bear. Watch for the bear. Okay. And thank you so much for all your time and listening to my stories. And I really hope you enjoyed some and you learned something. And have a wonderful day. Thank you all. Yeah.